Hello, my glorious subscribers! Or anyone else who watches me on a regular basis. Hello! It is I, PhantomSavage! And today, I'm doing something I've never done before. Something I never ever thought I would do today, dear viewer. I'm talking to you without fancy editing, without fancy music and sound effects or animation. Today, for the first time in my 16-year career on YouTube, I'm talking to you like a normal person. Novel concept, I know. It's not like you already have seen a million YouTubers of all shapes and sizes set some time aside to mostly make unedited, earnest conversation videos with their subscribers before, but believe it or not, this is a new thing for me. I've made update videos in the past. Long-time subscribers will know that I've made many update videos in the past, but literally every one of them were always dressed up with lots of fanfare and lots of editing because, well, I'm me, and I just cannot help myself. Because when it comes to things I put on my channel, I made the fun yet questionable decision a long time ago that everything I put on my channel has to be something spectacular, has to be something big or epic, or at least have a lot of effort put into it. And I would never do something simple like this that, as wrestlers would say, I would never break kayfabe or break the illusion of the character of PhantomSavage and sit down and be a real person for once. But today, dear viewer, you get that privilege. Why? Because, frankly, there's just a lot to talk about with my channel or my life in general that needs to be addressed that I have not addressed, and largely have not addressed because, well, some things are just a little too sensitive to be talked about in a real way from the voice and persona of a megalomaniacal crazy person. And so today, and maybe only today, I need to address some things about the state of the channel, the future of the channels, I guess I should say, and my life in general, that honestly, I don't know how to dress up in an earnest way other than just speaking to you directly like this, without all the fancy music and all the fancy everything else. Why have I taken this long to have a real conversation with my subscribers rather than just whatever I normally do, you might ask? Well, I'll get to that in a minute, because first, I have to address the massive elephant in the room. And that is, man, 2024 kind of sucked, didn't it? I mean, maybe it didn't for you. At least I hope it didn't for you, which would be wonderful. But for me, well, I guess it could have been worse, but it certainly could have been a lot better. I think this was, maybe the 4th year in a row I lost a close family member. It being my aunt this time, one of my only 2 sisters my dad had, who is, by the way, might have forgotten to mention in a video before, is also dead. Yeah, my dad died in 2020, which completely changed my life, which I guess I'll expand on a little bit in a moment after I address the other elephant in the room, and that is, hey, Phantom, you might be asking. Where are all those videos you promised and all those channels you made 11 months ago? You know, the channels you made in that one ominously clickbait titled video last February, the one where you revealed you were starting a gaming channel, a commentary channel, and even a cooking channel. You remember that? What happened to those videos, Phantom? Well, that's because, dear viewer, this video is what my version of a nervous breakdown looks like. Yeah, not great. Let me just explain a second here, because this video eventually came out after a number of things, most of them financial, to be honest, because, surprise for you, I know you might be accustomed to seeing YouTubers, live some pretty awesome and lavish lifestyles here on the platform. You see them just making videos, and it's like maybe you have a wholesome cooking YouTuber that you watch, and they just seem like a kind of a wholesome guy, and you just happen to notice they have like a $12,000, $13,000 oven in their kitchen, and maybe their kitchen is the size of what my living room is. And, a lot of people are used to seeing YouTubers be fairly wealthy and live fairly comfortable lives on the platform. I am not one of those YouTubers. Because, big surprise, you don't make a lot of ad revenue on a channel where the majority of your videos are like less than 2 minutes long, where ads don't really play that much, and a sponsorship ad would literally be long as half the video, and viewers like yourself would justifiably strangle me. So it used to be a little better, not much, not enough to go out and buy cars or make major investments or anything, but, enough to pay for food and bills and not sweat too much if something unexpected comes up, but, that changed around 2021 or so when things went pretty downhill pretty fast. Not gonna lie, both personally and professionally, at least in regards to YouTube and my personal life. Ironically enough, 2020 was actually a fantastic year for my YouTube channel, viewership and content-wise. My personal life was absolutely destroyed, as that was the year that, my dad died and my world got completely upside down. And not only that, I had to move to a new house literally 1,000 miles away, to a house no less that was like 2 bedrooms and with like 3 people. And the house was built in like 1930s or so. And we had 1 cat. Then there was another cat. That's a whole nother thing. So basically, I had to move from like a 3 or 4 bedroom house in the tropics to like a 2-bedroom house that was built in the 30s and had all kinds of problems in it, including broken pipes and just, oh God. I'm getting distracted. But it was a nightmare. 2020 was not great on a personal level, but from a YouTube standpoint, when everybody is locked in quarantine, nobody has anything else to do but watch YouTube. So that was good for my channel, and also I was making lots of content at the time, because this is not easy to talk about. But there was not a lot of time to process the level of loss that I felt, because I don't want to get too... I'll get into it later, but my dad and I's relationship was probably stronger than most. I mean, like, he was like Stan Lee meets Neil deGrasse Tyson. I mean, I could spend hours talking about my dad, but like, he was probably the most influential, most important person in my life. He's the reason I have a YouTube channel to begin with, or at least the one that I have, because he's the one that kind of took a chance on me. Mom wanted me to get like a real job and go to college and stuff. And my dad was a lifelong entrepreneurial person, and I kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. So it was really him that let me have the chance to turn my YouTube channel into something. And I was very happy to have made him proud to achieve that in his lifetime when he was still around. So when I lost him, and I did lose him way younger than he should have been, because, I mean, he had a number of things. Again, I could spend hours talking about my father, but, like, he had almost every terrible health problem under the sun, including, like, stage 3 lung cancer, which he was in remission for, he recovered for. He had, like, COPD for, like, 12 years after they said he was not going to survive after 5. Like, he had, like, mold in his lungs. He had, like, all kinds of ridiculous health problems. Heart failure was one of them, too. And he just kept on going. And eventually the thing that got him was in 2019, late 2019, he caught the flu was going around in like late December of 2019, which everybody had, which obviously now everybody knows was not the flu, it was COVID. And he actually held on all the way till February. And he had started bouncing back even from COVID, of all things, when he fell and then he couldn't recover again. But anyway, long story short, lost my father, big deal, changed who I was as a person, changed my entire world. Did not really have time to process it, Because even in his old age, and despite all his health conditions, he was most definitely the breadwinner of the family. He had all kinds of, like, writing jobs, journalism jobs, like, internet jobs. He was a man of many, many, many hats, and he brought in the income to be able to afford the rent, because we lived in rental properties my whole life. We were not a wealthy family. We never owned land. My grandmother and grandfather owned, like, this kind of, like, little plot of land that they moved in when they were the 50s, but that's it. And that's where I wound up moving. Didn't really have time to process anything, because as soon as Dad's gone, so is the main paycheck, and we can't afford to pay rent anymore in the middle of a pandemic that's kicking off. So we had no choice but to move all the way up here, 1,000 miles away. And on top of that, because of the pandemic, we couldn't even have a funeral. we couldn't even have that. That bothered my mother more than it bothered me, because my dad didn't really care that much about funerals and all that stuff. But it was devastating to her. So we didn't even really have a ceremony to do anything with this entire time. So the entirety of 2020, on top of everything else, where the world has changed unrecognizably, the world politically is, like, more divisive than it's ever been, and, like, there's something unprecedented happening every day. That is a time where my brain was literally, like, in permanent fight or flight mode, and it just would not go out. Like, I did not do anything the entirety of 2020 except work. I literally just put all, like, any kind of loss or grief or, like, processing, and all of it, like, went into editing. I was so obsessed with my video schedule and, like, not missing a video schedule, because, like, one of the things, this is going to sound so terrible, but one of the things that was really big deal, because my dad gave me the chance to make my business and make my YouTube channel a thing, and I made him proud. Continuing to work on my YouTube and continuing it to be successful and continuing it to bring in, a relatively decent income for the time, was kind of my way of making my father proud, of almost kind of dealing with the loss. And it's like, well, yeah, you know what? Dad has passed. He was the breadwinner, but I'm the breadwinner now. I am the bread. So, I had that feeling. So much to a point, I got so obsessed with my video schedule that I think I missed my video schedule one time in 2020. Maybe it was 2020, maybe it was 2021 for all I know, early 2021. One time I missed my video schedule, and I uncrumpled like a fucking rag. I immediately, like, it all came just crashing down on me at once. It was all like, oh my God, I have made my father disappointed. I've ruined my own deadline. I am a piece of trash. Oh my God. That was the point where I realized what I had been doing the entire year, as I had been telling myself by working constantly, like not even doing so much as hanging out with friends because I was working so much. I was telling myself I was making my father proud, when in reality, I was not addressing or processing the situation with my father at all, because I was just diving my face headfirst into content creation, because that was my way of just numbing whatever the hell 2020 was going on. And boy, does everybody remember, it certainly felt like hell. But when I did screw up, and I think I screwed up because it wasn't even my fault, I think the power button on my PC went out, and like I literally couldn't turn on my PC. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. But, like, my PC just literally wouldn't turn on one day, and that's why I missed my deadline. So that probably wasn't helping. So something happened to where I missed my deadline, and it was kind of a big clarity moment for me. And that's when I stepped away, maybe a month or so. Maybe it was 2 months. Just kind of to get away from things because I had not really gotten off the brakes since my dad died. Personal level, as a human being, everyone needs a little time to process big things in their life. That's understandable. If you were working for a human boss and you gave them, you told them all this stuff, the human boss, hopefully, maybe not always, but hopefully, if they're a decent person, would be like, oh yes, I understand. You've been really putting your nose to the grindstone because you haven't been processing all this stuff. Go ahead and take some time off and you'll be okay when you get back. Unfortunately, when you work for YouTube, which is more of a robot than a person, they are not quite as nice. I fell out of favor with the algorithm because I disappeared for like a month or two, and all of a sudden, all my new YouTube videos were not getting in the algorithm, which that was kind of shitty for a little while. And this is going into 2021. And oh yeah, I completely forgot to mention in 2021. Almost froze to death. That was fun. I'm not going to reveal where I live now or where my grandmother's house is, but I will say that I live and still live in Texas. And if anybody knows anything about February in 2021 in Texas, is that it became a mini ice age. And that was not great when you live in a house from 1930, which at the time was in the middle of a bathroom renovation, which had no floor. I checked the thermostat at one point. It was below zero in the house, not outside the house. In the house was below zero. That was just peachy. That was a fantastic February, let me tell you. Greatest Valentine's Day. 2 days after the anniversary of my dad's death, by the way, February 12th. Probably didn't help my mental space at the time either. But anyway, back from the shambles of my personal life, I was talking about my YouTube life. Anyways, YouTube algorithm didn't like me. And that was actually only one of, let's say, 3 factors in 2021, 2022, around that time, that nearly killed my channel. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I don't want to over-exaggerate, and I also don't want to undersell that around 2021, probably something that I never expanded upon, the channel, almost died for a number of factors. One of them being is that, the algorithm didn't like me taking, a 2-month, however long break it was in content. Didn't like me. That wasn't the biggest factor, though. The other 2 bigger factors was the main part of my content was no longer of interest to viewers anymore. And the other part was YouTube itself launching YouTube Shorts, which I'll get into in a sec. First of all, the content part itself. For people that have been... I have lots of different kinds of subscribers that have subscribed to me for lots of different things. Probably the biggest majority of them, I would say, at this point in time, subscribed to me for my years doing Miraculous Ladybug content. Now, I love Miraculous Ladybug. I confess to you, I'm terrible as a content creator because I didn't really keep up with the show that much, even when I was doing videos, which is crazy to say. But I do remember watching binge watching, the first and, second, maybe even the third season with friends. And I remember liking it so much that I liked it so much that I wanted to dedicate quite a number of videos and content to that show. And that wound up kicking off into being kind of the bread and butter of my YouTube channel for the longest time. I'd say for about 6 years, I made Miraculous Ladybug content, and that was the biggest form of content. Now, I did other stuff too. I did My Hero Academia was also very popular on there. Lots of BK, DK type stuff, which is all, My Hero Academia as well. But I did all kinds of stuff, anything that I found interesting. But certainly the biggest viewed stuff on my channel was Miraculous Ladybug content. Now, fans of the show, or former fans of the show, might understand that the writing in the later seasons, from what I understand, even as somebody that didn't keep up with it that well, kind of went down the shitter. For those of you that don't know, the entire selling point of the show Miraculous Ladybug is this complicated love triangle between the core two characters. Ladybug and Chat Noir, who are the superhero identities of Marinette and Adrian Agreste. Marinette loves Adrian. She has a crush on Adrian, but he doesn't know that. And Chat Noir has a crush on Ladybug, but she doesn't. Well, she does know that, but they don't know each other's real identities. It's a cute thing. It's always been a cute thing. The entire crux of the show is shipping these two characters together. And they introduced some other characters. There was a third wheel, Luca, they had for a while. They did all kinds of stuff. That's the selling point of the show, and that is why it sold well. And they reverse Pinocchio'd my boy Adrian. Not only did they straight up tell the fan base that if Marinette and Adrian got together, the world would literally end, but even after they tried to retcon that whole terrible writing decision, they literally said Adrian is not even a real boy. That didn't go over well with a lot of the fans, myself included. And boy, even though I didn't keep up with the show, I saw that change in my metrics on my YouTube channel. There was a huge downward spike in viewership of Miraculous Ladybug content around that time when those writing decisions were made. And I got to see, like from a bird's eye view, viewership in Miraculous Ladybug content steadily go down. And it wasn't just the writing decisions. There was also just like there was a lot of an excess of media that wasn't doing anything interesting with Miraculous Ladybug. They also did the movie, which was just kind of like a retcon of the whole first season. It was like a retelling of the first season rather than an actual movie that had an original story or anything. There was basically interest in Miraculous Ladybug content faded pretty fast, and that had an impact on my channel. But more than anything else, more than just about anything else I've mentioned today, even including the death of my own father and me moving to 1,000 miles away to a different house, more than anything I've mentioned, YouTube Shorts and the way they launched that feature on the platform, that nearly killed my entire channel. And you will understand why after I give you 3 fun facts about the YouTube Shorts program. Are you ready? Fun fact number 1. YouTube Shorts were designed specifically for YouTube viewers that only wanted to watch very short, fast-paced videos on YouTube instead of longer content. You know, content like my entire channel at the time. So why watch a normal short YouTube video when you could watch a short YouTube video, right? All right, fun fact number 2. YouTube Shorts launched in the United States in March 2021. Fun fact number 3. YouTube Shorts were not monetized until February 1st, 2023. 2 years later. For those not keeping score, let me explain exactly what the impact of that means. That means YouTube implemented a feature that effectively encouraged my entire viewership base to stop watching my normal content and instead watch only YouTube Shorts-based content. And then, while this feature was implemented, I had no way at all of making any revenue off it. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O, we got a problem. So before this thing even really happened, my viewership had already gotten down to a point once where I was questioning on what to do. And then it got saved again. Like Miraculous Ladybug interest had evaporated, and it was getting really hard to find good My Hero Academia comics for some reason. I don't know why. I guess people were waiting on the next season. But for a very brief period of time, my channel did have a resurgence back to, like, miraculous ladybug viewership levels where I was like getting several 100,000 views on every video when Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, no, not Breath of the Wild, I'm an idiot, Tears of the Kingdom came out. That gave me, actually, that padded my channel out. It kept me coasting for about 6 months, actually. I got good viewership for that about 6 months, and that made me a very happy panda for a while. And then I discovered at the end of 6 months that the longevity of interest in Legend of Zelda was nowhere near as much as Miraculous Ladybug, because everyone kind of stopped being interested in content after beating it for the first few months. But anyways, I digress. Basically, everything, including the new Zelda content, had gotten evaporated in interest. I was back to the lowest view numbers ever. And then this YouTube Shorts program launches that takes almost all my viewership and then converts my viewership into Shorts viewership and then doesn't give me a way to make money off of it. So I literally, lost more than half of my viewership. And my paycheck got cut more than half. In, overnight, practically. I say overnight. I know that's not exactly accurate, because YouTubers, at least the way I'm paid on YouTube, you don't get paid weekly like you do like a normal retail job or so. You get paid every month. So, you get paid at the end of the month for everything you did last month. So it's not like you work a 40-hour work week and then you get your paycheck at the end of the week. You work the whole month, and it analyzes your performance over the last whole month, and you have to get it. So I get monthly paychecks, and it had been dwindling for a year. And then around the time that I had made this video, I think I had started to make the Has-Been Hotel videos, but they hadn't kicked off yet. This was a low point around my career where I was literally throwing anything at the wall that I thought would stick, even smutty, clickbait, booby thumbnail videos. I was doing anything that I think would work at this point, because almost nothing was. And that's when this video came out. Because when this video came out, I had made, for the entire month, let me tell you, for the entire month, $800. That had been the lowest paycheck I had received in years. And don't forget, I'm still carrying around all that baggage with me, and still am to some unhealthy degree, that I was associating with my YouTube performance in making my father proud. So seeing that I only made $800 before all kinds of bills and groceries, that was the first time in my life I had to ask my mom for money to buy groceries. And that was a deeply embarrassing and emasculating experience. Did not like that. That is why this video suddenly got made, because this was me saying, oh, I can't make comic dubs anymore. YouTube Shorts has made that unprofitable and unsustainable. I can't do this. I need to find literally anything else. So I am going to make a gaming channel, a commentary channel, a cooking channel. I am going to do anything because, dear God, please don't let me flip burgers. I don't want to flip burgers. Please, Jesus, don't let me flip burgers. I like burgers. I want them in my belly. I don't want them on my knuckles, and I don't want them on my hands. I don't want them on my apron. Please, sir. Please, Jesus, don't let me flip burgers. I'd rather make animated cartoons with my silly voice. So yeah, that's why this video was made, and that was not great. I'm sure I did not sound unhealthy in that video. I'm sure I sounded like I normally do all the time to you whenever I make a video, because I never make a YouTube video that has an ounce of depression or sadness in it, because I made a decision a long time ago not to do that, because you, right now, dear viewer, I was once you. I was once where you sit. I used to have favorite content creators that I watched on YouTube too. I'll even name them. I like the first Let's Player I ever really watched was Cloud8745. That's probably a name that almost none of you today would know. He was one of the first kind of like real Let's Play. He didn't call himself a Let's Player. He said he did walkthroughs, but whatever. But he did like Let's Plays. That was the first time I was ever even introduced to the concept. And I stopped watching him because he wound up eventually making more drama videos about his depression and life problems than he ever actually did making YouTube content. And then the same thing, I had the same deal with Spoony One, who I loved Spoony. He was a reviewer around the same time of Angry Video Game Nerd and all those folks. And if you know that name, this had quite a few controversies over the years, and for some of them with pretty good reason. But that was another person who I thought was absolutely hilarious and made just golden content. And yet their mental health, they got their heart broken by some serious life problems, and it just like they spiraled out of control. Like their content was never the same. They were never the same after the terrible life things that happened to them. And I vowed a long, long time ago, even before Spoony spun out, I vowed a long time ago I would not let that happen. I could not let that happen to my content. And I would like to think, for the most part, I haven't. At least not an overt of a way. But I have most certainly not been forthright about the true, actual reality of what my mental state and honestly life situation often is at times. And in a lot of ways, I felt like that has kept me back from making a real connection with a lot of you and a lot of my subscribers as a real human being. Because, I don't necessarily even want to be considered like a real human being. I like the larger-than-life persona, the voice, the character, I want to be, someone to be looked up to, and someone that's considered a badass and doesn't need to be coddled. But I am a human being, and things happen, and it's been last 5 years have been quite different from almost every other period in my life. And I guess I just felt like I needed to ramble pretty much aimlessly about a lot of it, because I have so much to ramble about that I haven't mentioned almost any of it in any update video or any update post or tweet. I think even when my dad died, I made like a tweet and like a YouTube community post. Like, I intended to dedicate, like, a video to him in memoriam, and that's that Hitman video, which has been in production, by the way, for 4 years now, almost 5. Here's the timeline, not lying to you. It's just been in a project file on my computer, or I should say external drive, for that many years now, because, well, that's a whole nother story, because I wound up having problems with my antivirus, and that was screwing up with the trainer I was using to hijack, like, the in-game camera for cinematics, and I had to wind up uninstalling the antivirus, and that was, that's a whole nother story. I promise I'll get to that this year, and I promise I'll try to get to a lot of things this year, including the other kinds of content that I have been promising a lot of you for years. I want to do Hitman, which is, spoilers, a continuation. I was going to save this as a surprise. It's a continuation of the Dead Rising storyline from my Let's Play Dead Rising series, literally a decade ago. It's how I want to continue that story with that character and go forward. And I've been wanting to go forward with that. I want to do more of that. I do want to make cooking videos. I do want to make commentary videos. Almost every time something pops up online, there's always like some kind of dramatic thing. Even life things, even the Luigi Mangione thing with the United Healthcare. I have opinions. I would like to voice those opinions, and I just haven't gotten around to making videos for that kind of thing. Part of it is because what I really want, I've been wanting, is a VTuber avatar. I think I even mentioned that in that video. And boy, I knew that VTubing stuff was expensive. Didn't realize it was that expensive. And when you make the kind of income that I do, you don't really get to save a lot of money for stuff that you thought you could afford. So that's also been a wrench in the works, which I'm going to address. I've got a lot of things to do this year. My girlfriend, Kenna Sky, love her so much, she's calling 2025 the year of self-improvement. And I could not be more proud of her for that. And I think that's a good theme for me to have. That's a good theme for you, dear viewer, to have. 2025, the year of self-improvement. Now, what does self-improvement look like for me? I am hoping it will be visible to you in some way in the form of content. That said, I also have a lot of things in my life, personally, that needs a lot of improvement. I am not the healthiest individual in the world. Surprise, surprise. Like most Americans, I'm very overweight. I don't need to be, otherwise I will die a lot sooner than I want to, and I need to fix that. So that's something that needs to be fixed. Not to mention that, but also, I got some other medical issues that I just kind of ignore, like the fact that I never got my wisdom teeth removed as a child, and now that's kind of creating problems in my mouth all these 30 years later. Oh yeah, that's right. I was born with an umbilical hernia, and about 2 years ago, it burst like the chest alien from Alien, and that was not pleasant. I've had to go to the ER twice now to have that sealed up with like Surgiseal, because it needs to be operated on, but I don't have the money because healthcare in America doesn't exist. So I've got a lot to deal with in my life. And I'm just gonna try to be better. I wanted to put this video, I even wrote out a script that I started reading. I think I threw it out 20 minutes ago. I don't even know what the minute count on this long ramble is. I just needed to address my subscribers, because ever since I made that video 11 months ago, it has eaten away at me that I literally have not done anything with that content or those channels since. And there's very few things that bother me more than promises made that have not been kept. And that eats at me more than you know. And it bothers me that there's a plethora of content, even even though Miraculous Ladybug is not that of interest anymore, I'm still passionate about the Arkham Rogues series that I did, the audio drama. I've got a whole outline written for what I want to happen in the next episode. I want to do that too. There's things I want to do. I've got to do this gradually. And as things are currently in my life, I just don't have the time or money or productiveness to do all of them at once. And I don't even know at one point what I'm going to prioritize here, because I've got a lot of things in my life that need to change and improve, and YouTube is just one of them. So anyway, this is a long-ass ramble. I hope this has not gone over. I couldn't even begin to say. What does the recorder even say? Oh, God, it says 40 minutes. This is a lot. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. No one's going to read this. No one's going to watch this. Read this. I can't even talk to myself. Okay, I've rambled on more than long enough. Thank you for listening and listening to me ramble. If you listened for this long to me just literally talk to myself and decompress every social, personal, and professional issue I've had over the past 5 years, actually not even scratching the surface, some of that, thank you. You're a real fan. I know that you're a real subscriber and that you are a real person. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more from me. Good night and Godspeed.